Hello, friends. It's your boy Jeff with you again. And welcome to another edition of the Spin Zone. Trying to make this video here before I have to go to work. I have a 12-hour night shift tonight. And yeah, my record listening has been pretty sporadic lately. And it's going to get more sporadic as time goes on because I'm in the middle of doing a refi on my mortgage, and I'm going to cash some of that out because I need to remodel our bathroom that's up these stairs here, and because it's a disaster and it just needs to get redone. So I've sunk so much money into this house, upgrading stuff, fixing stuff that took higher priority, that I eventually just ran out of money. So I'll be getting a lower interest rate because interest rates are nice and low right now. So I'm taking advantage of that. Shorter term. And yeah, gonna do some more home improvements. So my record listening is probably gonna get even more sporadic for the next little while. All that said, I got 9 albums here that I've listened. It's been almost a month, I think, since I've done the last one of these types of videos. So these first two I listened to probably, yeah, almost like a month ago. Three Sides Live by Genesis. This was the next album in line. I'm listening to them chronologically. Among the Genesis albums I have. Of course, I recently picked up the Duke album, which I know came out before this, but at the time I was playing this, I didn't have it. So Duke will be the next Genesis I play that you'll see from them sometime soon. As the title explains, it's a double album, and 3 sides of that album is live. Side 4 being studio tracks. Paper Late was the radio hit, I think, off of this one that I recall. Don't really recall hearing the other ones, but they are all good, and Genesis is a great live act. So I wouldn't rate this as highly as like Seconds Out or even the Genesis live album. But that's a different band. You know, this is the Phil Collins trio version with backup musicians too. So it's a different band and different sound. Just as enjoyable. But all that said, I like Seconds Out better. And then did some house cleaning with these 9 too. And you'll see that towards the end. This was the last Jimi Hendrix album that I had in my crate. People, Helen Angels is the name of this one. And this was I don't know if it's like a trilogy of albums that started with Valleys of Neptune, this album, and then another album called The Other Side of the Sky, which I also have. I don't know if any more of these type of albums are going to be coming out, but it would be pretty fitting if it was just a trilogy. Here's the back, and hopefully there's not a lot of glare there. You can see the songs. I deliberately put lots of time in between listening to these albums. I didn't want to just run through them and just, like binge listen, for lack of a better term. I wanted to enjoy each one and treat it like something to be savored, because I just love listening to him play. And if you have all 3 of those albums that I just mentioned, it does get a little repetitive with the songs. I mean, there are a lot of repeats among the 3. They're just variations or different musicians playing, or just alternate takes, outtakes, that sort of thing. But I could listen to Jimmy play the frickin' phone book and I'd be happy, so it really doesn't matter to me. So I deliberately doled these out on a periodic basis to really pay attention to them, enjoy them, savor them. Not like a fine wine, but you know what I'm trying to say. And this was the last album that I had left to do that with, so I treated myself to some Jimmy. Now these next couple are ones that I showed from my last video, which was record store, record show finds. This was the 12-inch single by U2 called the Blackout that I bought at Vinyl Frontier Records in McHenry, Illinois, which Emma, my friend Emma from 8 Vinyl Low, went there not too long after, and she found some good stuff there, as she showed in her video. This is a good song. This was just, one side was the U2 official version, and the other side was a remix, which was almost more interesting than than the original song. The problem I have with U2 is that they developed such a distinctive sound early in their career, you know, like with the Edge's guitar, that after they made like their change to more of an electronic sound, like with the Achtung Baby album, and moving forward from that, I hate to say it, but U2 just kind of became a little more generic sounding. And I realized that they'd gone as far as they could go with their original sound without really just repeating themselves. But I appreciate them wanting to try new stuff, but I just miss that guitar sound. Whenever I think of U2, I think of that guitar sound from the Edge. You guys know what I'm talking about. So while I like this, it seems like any band could have made this song besides U2. It's just good, but it just isn't distinctive to me anymore. I don't know. U2 are still on my bucket list for concerts. I'd still love to see them live someday, and I hope to do that. I listened to A Night in Tunisia. I showed this one in my last video. Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. This was a 80s reissue on the Blue Note label. I was already well familiar with this album, but playing it through my sound system and letting my wife listen to it for the first time was fun. She liked it. Ironically enough, she didn't like the title track, which was the first song on this album. I don't know why. She just didn't care for it, but everything else after that she thought was great. So, okay. As for me, I thought it was great. So, all the way through. Yeah. And moving on from that, listen to The Hurting by Tears for Fears. Great album. I was already familiar with Mad World. The kids really love that song, Mad World, and Pale Shelter and Change. But the other songs on this album that I wasn't as familiar with, I like just as much. In fact, I really enjoy this album right now more than probably Songs from the Big Chair, but I think that's just due to overexposure from that album. I'm not as familiar with this one, so it sounds a little fresher to me, and I'm really, really enjoying it. So this is going to get spun more before it gets filed, for sure. And I've been after this for a while, too, so finally getting it was pretty nice. And showed this one last time, too. Johnny Winter, the King of Slide. You guys know my love of Johnny Winter. This is a live album. It doesn't really say where in the credits it was recorded or when it was recorded, but not that I saw. It's from the Johnny Winter archives, I know. But the sound quality is a little hinky on this album. His vocals get real muddied and dim on some songs. Real hard to hear him, but his slide guitar is front and center on everything. It's just to the detriment to other stuff occasionally. Sometimes I just want to hear what he's singing. Besides, it's way in the background on certain songs, and then it just like comes back up. I don't know if he moved away from the mic while he was singing or what, but still a good sounding album, but just not the strongest for his vocals. And really, I mean, we're listening to Johnny for his guitar playing, though, right? I mean, he's a decent singer, but awesome guitar player. So I'm still glad I had this album. I've been after this one kind of for a while too. This was a Record Store Day release from last year, I believe. So Johnny Winter, the King of Slide. Then last weekend, yeah, I think it was also last weekend. My dad came over. We're talking again. We're kind of buddies again, so that's good. He went to an estate sale, and he brought me a couple of albums, which and one of them Emma showed in her record show video, the copy of Bee Gees' Odessa, which is just the single disc reissue from '76, I believe. I looked it up on Discogs. I don't know why they would reissue a double album as just a single, but the record itself was pretty minty, so I gave it to her. But that was one of the albums that my dad gave me. That was how I got it. Another one that he gave me, or that he bought for me that I thought I might like, is the first album by America. And didn't have this, but I like America. This is the one that has Horse with No Name on it and Sandman. Those are the two chart hits. But the rest of this album is pretty doggone amazing. I don't know America, beyond the radio hits, which I love. But listening to this album all the way through, it's a really nice, laid back, chill, acoustic, kind of folky, singer-songwritery album. And it's just great to listen to. Like, we played this after dinner one night, and it was really, really good. And the copy is a little noisy in places. This was just a dollar record, it didn't have any inner sleeve. And I was looking at it and I was like, I don't know. But after cleaning it and trying it out, it sounds pretty good. So it'll go in the collection. First album by America. Really like it. And then these last two are going to be solo Carlos Santana albums. These were longtime Back of the Crate albums, only because, just like with Genesis, I would play the Santana albums that I'd acquired chronologically. So he put out a lot of albums in the 70s, and I would just play them intermittently. So these were the last two. This is the first one called Oneness, Silver Dreams, Golden Reality. And he was using the name Devadip in front of his name. So it was Devadip Carlos Santana. This is when he was more heavily religious than he is now. And here's the back cover. This is a promo copy, as you can see by this big white sticker here on the cover. This came out in 1979. And in almost any other respect, it would sound just like a Santana album. But he just put it under his own name. But it's the same mix of, his very unique guitar tone and kind of jazzy music with, the Latin flavor to it. Very, very enjoyable. Oneness, this was very, very good. And I followed that up with the other one. This is a double album called The Swing of Delight. And this album is even more jazzy than the Oneness album that I just showed. Here's the back cover. Came out in 1980. And this is pretty much all instrumental. I think there's only one track on here with vocals. But it's almost like Santana just playing with like a jazz rock band. There's a lot of synthesizers on here. There's a lot of electric piano to go along with his guitar. And it's really good. I mean, just like with Hendrix, I could listen to Santana play anything and I'd be happy. So that's another reason why I doled these out on an intermittent basis just to enjoy them more without getting them and just like playing them one after the other and just running through them. I wanted to enjoy them. So The Swing of Delight by David Carlos Santana is the final album that I'm going to show. So there you go. Nope, I take that back. There is one more thing I got to show you that I just started listening to, but it's going to take me quite some time to get through it. Amazon Prime Day was last week. Actually, days. It goes for 2 days, and I bought the 63 box set by John Coltrane, the New Directions. I'll just show you the back of the sleeve here. And it's supposedly every track that he recorded in 1963. This slides off. Here is what the box looks like underneath that die cut cover. And I'll just show you quickly what the records look like. They're just black vinyl, but they have the classic Impulse label. This is the first disc. I've actually listened to this first disc, which is the Both Directions at Once album that was recently released. It was also put out in this set, and they come in 180 gram vinyl with the classic Impulse label on one side and a picture, kind of like a random looking picture, on the other side. And it's a 5-disc set. And the only thing that I really wish was here was that it doesn't tell you exactly like what albums these are from. It just says every track that he recorded in 63, but I had to look up online, reviews for this set to find out the albums that were released that year that this set contains. It doesn't tell you that. It just gives you song titles. For a relative jazz newbie like me, that would have been nice to know, but it's not a deal breaker. I have a couple of Coltrane albums. I have the one called Selflessness. I know Chris showed it. Tunes from the Man Cave on his video about his Coltrane albums. And I have a 2-disc repress of Soul Train and Training In. And I think that was on the Fantasy label, I want to say. And it just says Coltrane on the cover. But I liked those albums, and I wanted to get more into him. And this was just too good of a price to pass up. This was $82 on Amazon Prime Day. And I think the normal price for this is like in the 120s. So I just bit the bullet and did it. And like I said, so far I've listened to that first disc, which was the quote-unquote lost album by John Coltrane that came out last year. And I liked it, I'm not a jazz expert, obviously, but it seems to me that when I listen to Coltrane, it seems like he's really trying to do something with his music. He's trying to make a statement. I could be right, I could be wrong, I could be talking out my ass, I don't know. That's just the effect that his music has on me. It seems like he's very serious about it, and he wants to push boundaries and do things different from other musicians, within the limitations of his instrument. Sometimes he kind of honks that sax a little bit too much. That gets a little bit, but for the most part, I've really been enjoying the music. So that set is going to take me a while to listen to because I'm not going to just rush through it. So I'm going to kind of dole out the albums, one at a time here and there, and try to more fully absorb the music instead of just, playing it and just to be done with it. So you'll probably see that set pop up in the future too. So, okay guys, that's going to be it for me. Busy week for me this week. Like I said, I got to fill in for a guy who's on vacation at work. So I'm going to have some 12-hour days. I'm going to have some double backs. This could be my only video this week. Probably it will be, but I'm always around the VC. I watch a ton of videos and I even comment on some, and I'll be around. So till next time, peace, and I'll talk to you again soon.